Happy July 4th, everyone. We have a lot of basketball news to get to today, and that's why we are joined in our Hog Hoops report by our Hogville insider, Kevin McPherson. Kevin, happy holiday to you, and thank you for taking the time on your 4th to speak with us.
Nick, great to be with you. Let's get after it.
And we're getting after one thing, and the reason it's this is big on the 4th is because we were supposed to have a commitment today. A lot of people were eyeing on, and you were just telling me about on off camera. Barry Dunning was supposed to announce today, but that's getting pushed back.
His commitment announcement was supposed to happen on July 4th. At noon today. So, he took his official visit to Arkansas June 3rd through the 5th. ESPN ranks Barry top 70 player in the country, a high level 4-star, 6'6" small forward out of Alabama, out of Mobile, Alabama. And he took that official visit in the first week of June to Arkansas. He talked about the love. He used the word love a lot, talking about the fan base and the coaches and the players. And it seemed like he loved Arkansas, and he was really down to the Hogs, Memphis, Ole Miss, and South Alabama. He was going to make it a commitment announcement in January during his, on his mom's birthday, but he told me after his Arkansas visit, you know what, I'm pushing that up. It's going to be June 30th. Then he moved it to July 4th, and it looked like he eliminated Ole Miss from that list. It was down to the Hogs, Memphis, and South Alabama. So we're looking for a commitment announcement today. I really felt like the Hogs were in the were the front runners there. But anytime a player looks like he's, basically puts it off on the day that he's going to make his announcement, I don't know what it says about the Arkansas's chances right now, but if the Hogs were the leaders going into today and he's putting it off, that's got to give Arkansas fans some pause as to how this is now going to play out. But, this is the kind of player that Musselman covets, can play that positionless basketball because he's versatile at 6'6", can defend multiple positions, can play multiple positions offensively. So I think, this is the kind of guy that if you could put him with Joseph Penney, another big wing, 6'6" out of Morton, who's a big-time shooter, these were two guys that, you put those guys together, it's a great start to the class. Hasn't happened with Dunning, so don't want to get ahead of ourselves, and we'll certainly see how it plays out.
Well, maybe he's just enjoying his cookout today and didn't want to, push it too back. We'll see where he reacts. There's no commitment of a new announcement date, correct?
Right. That's still to be determined. Again, I think this caught everybody by surprise a little bit. There's been some scuttlebutt in the last 24 hours. I had a text I got from someone, a coach that's connected, that says he may be having second thoughts and considering staying closer to home at South Alabama. And he just took that Memphis official visit midweek. I mean, right before his announcement was set to happen. And so we'll see if the Tigers, have got him second guessing. But it's very interesting now with Barry Dunning Jr.'s recruitment.
And we'll be following along with you as we go along this journey with Barry as well. Now, while he is deciding where he wants to play, Hogs are getting into their play already, having some practices this week. What have you seen from Arkansas as they are officially opening up?
Yeah, well, it's the limited practice, right? 4 hours a week on court. Then they have their 4 hours off court, with the strength and conditioning. And Arkansas, this week brought in some former Hogs to scrimmage and practice with the team. You had Mason Jones, the SEC Player of the Year a couple of years ago, just finished up his rookie season in the NBA. And then Dusty Hannah's one of the top scorers ever, an in-state guy from Little Rock, to play for the Hogs a few years ago. And he's bounced around in the the NBA G League, and with a few 10-day contracts with the Memphis Grizzlies in the NBA. But those guys are the kind of guys you want to have at practice if you're trying to get better, because they're veteran guys and they know how to play the game. So it's interesting. Eric Musselman's always got something going on. It's not just, practice as usual. There's always something going on, whether it's, you had the year of COVID where that kind of stuff, bringing in visitors, having guests in, was shut down. But if you go back to his first season in Arkansas, it was often that there were folks coming in to see the Hogs practice. And in this case, you had former Hogs actually joining in the scrimmaging. Also, let's mention that Trey Wade, the transfer from Wichita State, the senior transfer, the last transfer that Arkansas recently got on board, he actually made it to practice for the first time. He'd been on campus a couple of weeks, but started practice on Wednesday. So I've already heard good things about Trey, as well as the rest of the Razorbacks. A team that really, Nick, when we start talking about preseason projections, even this far out, a lot of folks have them, these basketball gurus, college basketball, gurus have him, ranked top 10, top 15 preseason. Says a lot about what Musselman's done in 2 years, that Elite Eight final national top 10 ranking. And now he's done it by basically remaking the roster every year. I think it has put a lot of confidence on this Razorbacks basketball program.
Is there any other Hogs you've been watching during practice? KK Robinson in particular, anyone that's kind of stood out to you?
I'm glad you brought up KK's name because, he's a guy that really very limited last season after getting hurt and missing most of the season with that foot injury. He had surgery. He's been practicing since day one, but he wasn't going live in full contact. So it's interesting you bring that up because he started to do that now. He has been more consistently involved in the live full contact scrimmaging. And really, once you get, you can do all the other stuff in practice, but until you're doing that as a guy coming back from injury, then you don't feel like you're full go. And now it looks like KK Robinson is, if he's not full go, he's close to it. And that's a good thing for Razorback fans looking ahead because we saw what a healthy freshman class did together last year. Moses Moody, Devo Davis, Jalen Williams. KK Robinson is the same kind of potential, all SEC potential down the road. So it's good to hear that he's back full swing at practice.
That'll be a big piece to get back for Arkansas. Now, a piece of Arkansas from the past making huge headlines this whole week is Bobby Portis, obviously playing with the Milwaukee Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals, punching his ticket to the NBA Finals last night as the Bucks defeated the Hawks in Game 6, 118-107. Your thoughts, Kevin, on just an Arkansas Razorback player who's going to compete on the biggest stage in the NBA Finals?
Well, he played at Little Rock Hall. When you look at, there is a long line of former Razorbacks that played in Milwaukee, and it started with Arkansas legend, the icon, Sidney Moncrief, the GOAT, the greatest of all time Hog, now a Naismith Hall of Famer. He was drafted by Milwaukee, number 5 overall in '79, and played 10 seasons there. They won 8 division titles, got to the Eastern Conference Finals once. He was 2-time NBA Defensive Player of the Year, a 5-time All-Pro. His resume is, it speaks clearly to why he ended up in the Hall of Fame, but they never got to a finals. Now, he played his high school ball at Little Rock Hall before being a Razorback. That's Bobby Portis's path, right? Little Rock Hall High School, Arkansas Razorback. And of course, Bobby in this era only played 2 years before going to NBA draft. As a sophomore, he was, SEC Player of the Year. Arkansas finished second in the league behind a Kentucky team that went undefeated that season until it got to the near the Final Four. But Portis ended up also being the second team All-American, first round draft pick, number 22 selection by Chicago. But he's found his way in year 6 to Milwaukee, his first with the Bucks, and he's become a folk hero. In the regular season, here's a guy that's under the radar. He calls himself the underdog, averaged over 11 points and over 7 rebounds per game. The only NBA player that was a non-starter to average at least 10 and 7 per game in the regular season. He finished 3rd in 3-point shooting in the league at over 47%. His almost 53% overall shooting from the field was among the best. And his player efficiency rating was top 40 in the league at 20. So here's a guy that I thought it was a malpractice by the NBA that he wasn't a serious contender for 6th man of the year. And his playoffs have been up and down. He had a strong series against Miami. Then he was an afterthought against Brooklyn in a small ball decision by the head coach for the Bucks, Mike Budenholzer, in a just a dramatic 7-game series where the Bucks prevailed 4-3. But then he rose from the ashes, right? He's had a really good series throughout against Atlanta. Then you had the 2-time MVP, Giannis, I won't say his last name, Greek Freak, getting the hyperextended knee. I'm not going to butcher his last name.
So, yeah.
Missed the last 2 games of the series. Portis moves into the starting lineup, and those 2 games averaged 17 points, 8.5 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 1.5 steals. But aside from the production, it's his energy. It's the way he plays. He's endeared himself to Milwaukee fans in year 1. Yeah, Sidney Moncrief's jersey's hanging in the rafters, retired. But the echoes of Arkansas Razorbacks starring for the Bucks have been restirred with Bobby Portis capturing that town. I mean, they're chanting his name not only at 5-Serve Forum, their home arena, but in the Deer District, the outdoor setting for their fans to watch on the big screen, at local bars. Even last night when they got in from Atlanta after winning that series to get to the finals, he was in his car leaving the airport, and the fans were lined up chanting his name, Bobby, Bobby, Bobby. So this is big time for Bobby Portis. Arkansas Razorback fans have always embraced their own, especially, even when they move on and go into the professional ranks. And I know that Portis right now is the face of Arkansas basketball when you talk in terms of Hogs representing in professional basketball, specifically the NBA, and a great ambassador for the state.
Bobby Portis said that it's a blue collar city. He's a blue collar player. And it also said earlier in the week after game 5 that it was the best decision he's ever made to come to Milwaukee. One more question for you on Portis is that career trajectory you kind of talked about, shuffling around a little bit. First season in Milwaukee where he really bursts onto the scene. What does this mean for Portis's career? Now, maybe when Giannis comes back, he'll probably go right back to the bench and come off as a six man. But what does it mean for his career to be playing in a finals against the Phoenix Suns?
Well, I think it's big because it's not just production. It's not just the fans. If you look at the coverage on TNT had the coverage of the Eastern Conference Finals this year, and you've got guys like Charles Barkley, who's arguably the top name in broadcasting and coverage for the NBA. You know, talking about him being the tough guy, talking about him being one of the critical pieces of this Bucks team that's underperformed relative to regular season success the last couple of years as the number 1 seed, and then floundering in the playoffs. A lot of attention's on Portis. When you see TNT's coverage going to commercial breaks or coming out of timeouts, there's a lot of Bobby Portis clips cut up in there.
There is, yeah.
He's not a superstar in this league, but he is becoming a name. And I do think when you look at his lone season in New York, he had a 2-year deal there. The team opted out after the first season. His production was a little down. His role, that organization was a mess until this year. But he had better offers. He had more lucrative opportunities, but he chose Milwaukee because of the potential to play a key part in a team that had potential to get to where they are now. And, it was a 2-year, $7.4 million guaranteed deal. He's got the player option for year 2. So Bobby Portis is going to have a lot of leverage after this postseason, regardless of what happens here on out as he moves forward in his career. And again, one of those guys that when Razorback fans look back on his career, not only as a Hog, but when his NBA days are done, whatever that is, he's always going to be one of the favorites and one of those players that's going to be remembered by this fan base.
Especially if he wins a title as game 1 of the NBA Finals, the Milwaukee Bucks and the Phoenix Suns, Tuesday, 8 p.m. on ABC. Kevin, thank you so much for joining us on this July 4th for our Hogs Hoop Report. Go enjoy the rest of your holiday. Stay safe.
Same to you, Nick. Good to be with you guys.